Hello, my name is Keisha Eanes, and I am the maid of honor for Stormie. Stormie and I actually met about 8 years ago in the recruiting office for the Air Force, where we both discovered that we wanted to be in the medical field our junior year of high school. From that day forward, we just clicked and were inseparable. We had lots of fun and ended up actually going to basic training together and ended up in the same flight. One of my very first memories of basic training with her is whenever we were all put into this big room together and given these little picnic boxes because we hadn't had supper yet, which had just the generic sandwich, some chips, a little juice box, and then this little packet of these shortbread cookies with a little jelly in the center. And Stormie, of course, being Stormie, that's the first thing she opens up. Is she opens up the cookies. She's sitting next to me and she says, "It can't be that bad. At least they gave us cookies." From that point on, we should have known that it was all going to be going downhill from there. Also, another fun thing that we had in basic training was whenever Stormie convinced everybody that we needed to do a fashion show. Of course, the only clothes that any of us had available to us at the time were our blues and ABUs. You should have seen some of the crazy concoctions that Stormie came up with. It was hilarious. Anyways, after basic training, we went our separate ways. I went to the ophthalmology technician school, and she ended up in the medical assisting nursing school. And from there, I moved to Elmendorf, Alaska, and she ended up in Lackland, Texas. We didn't get to see each other again for about 3 years. And we met up again in Nome, Alaska for the Arctic Air Trip. We were so excited that we were going to get to do this together. One of my favorite memories of there is actually our first night. We ended up wanting to go and see the sights because, Nome is where the Iditarod starts. So it has to be pretty cool. Well, it's one street long. Ended up getting lost anyways because you know how horrible are the directions. Another funny time was whenever we snuck out the FEMA cots that we were all sleeping on in the big gymnasium, and we took out to the Bering Sea and ended up taking pictures of us sunbathing. It was hilarious. We ended up being able to sneak the cots in and out without anybody noticing. Another thing is whenever we were in our little island of Shishmaref doing our humanitarian duties, Stormie was actually stuck outside for a lot of it. And of course, since she had come from Lackland, they hadn't really thought to send her with any cold weather gear. Being April, Alaska, it's still pretty cold. Luckily, I had enough cold weather gear for the both of us since I'd been stationed in Alaska for so long. So luckily, Stormie was able to keep all of her fingers and toes, which I'm sure James appreciates. Probably my best memory of our entire time together that shows exactly how kind-hearted of a person Stormie really is whenever we were in Shishmaref, there was this older man who had all these sled dogs out in front of his house. And there was this little sled dog that you could see its ribs poking out. You could tell it wasn't doing very well at all. We went up and talked to the guy, and he said he wasn't going to be able to do anything for the dog because it wasn't one of his primary sled dogs, so it wasn't worth to treat the dog. And Stormie went over to the dog, picked it up, and said, "Well, can I have it?" The guy's like, "Yeah, sure, as long as you keep him alive." She dragged that dog back to the school we were staying at, nursed it to health, and it still has that dog today, which is what you guys know as Jax. Stormie has always been there for me through thick and thin. I don't know what I would do without her. She is the best friend a girl could ever ask for. And I know that Stormie and James will have a very long and happy marriage. I wish them all the best. James, I will tell you again, like I told you the very first time we ever met, if you ever hurt her or break her heart, I will hunt you down. But if you love her and you are good to her like you have been for the past 2 years, I know you will be just fine. Stormie, I love you and I will always be here for you. And I wish you all the happiness in the world. All right, to James and Stormie,